The 5 biggest mistakes when recording vocals. Hey, it's me again, Joe Novelli. I'm a singer, a vocal arranger with professional a cappella group The Sons of Pitches. I'm also a choir master and I work here at Grosvenor Road Studios in Birmingham. So here at GRS we have the biggest live room in Birmingham, perfect for larger choirs and ensembles. We have an SSL AWS 900 Plus desk. We have loads of vintage microphones including U87s, and we record and mix all kinds of music, choir, rock, dance, everything. So before we dive in, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more music tips. So in the previous videos, we've already talked about what you need to start recording and practical tips to get the best vocal recording. But today, we're going to talk about the things that can really kill a vocal recording and make it unusable, and talk about how we can prevent them from happening. Let's get into it. Number 1, setting the gain too high. So, when you're recording vocals, you'll have your gain control on your interface. It will be the knob here next to where your mic is plugged in. So, this will affect the input level of the mic on the computer. So when that hits 0, we say the audio signal is clipping or peaking, and that is introducing distortion into your recordings, effectively making that take unusable. What we need to do is set that gain level so that it's not too high and gives us plenty of room for the singer if they do get a bit louder, so that they're still not getting anywhere near that 0 level. So how I would do that here in the studio is I would usually ask the singer to do a little demo of what they're going to sing, potentially a bit of a louder part, just so I know how loud they're going to be singing. And I would probably aim for that to be hitting about -10 decibels. So here on Logic, you've got your fader here and you'll see it hitting up the numbers. You want it to hit about -10 for that loud part. That means you've got 10 decibels of space. So if the singer does something a bit louder or steps close to the mic while they're recording, you've got that headroom so that it doesn't hit that 0 and peak and create distortion. If it does hit that peak, that take is effectively ruined. So we really need to avoid that. That's why we give ourselves such good headroom and so much space with that 10 decibel gap. Number 2. Placing the mic stand badly. So this goes for recording yourself or recording someone else. So most mic stands, they kind of have 3 legs at the bottom that hold them up. What we want to do is make sure that there's no way that the person recording is going to be able to kick these legs, because it's going to send a vibration up the mic stand and into the mic. I know this sounds really trivial, but it can be a really big killer in a performance, especially if they've just done a really, really good take and they love it, and then it's got this mic knock in the middle. So make sure to get those mic stands out of the way so that they're not going to be knocked. One really good tip for this is potentially investing in a round bottom mic stand, especially if you haven't got much space in your room, because that will keep it a lot more out the way. Number 3, standing too close or standing too far away from the mic when recording. So, as a rule of thumb, we generally say start about 6 inches away from the microphone, or about this much. That's kind of where we'd start. So if we're doing that here, I'd be sitting, maybe singing about here. So the problem is, if you move too close, you get a much more low-end heavy sound, so you start introducing more lower frequencies and it starts sounding unnatural. Also, like we talked about before with the plosives and the P's and the B's, they'll become much more apparent the closer you get to the mic. So that's the problem with being too close. If you come too far away, the problem there is then you get that sounding like you're distant and far from the mic, especially in bad sounding rooms, because it will pick up more of those echoes, and the echoes will be louder in volume compared to the sound of your voice. So it will sound more reverby in a bad room, which is not what we want. So a quick tip for this is when you've got a pop shield like this that you've attached yourself, especially if you're recording someone else, you can actually use this as a barrier to stop them from getting too close and as an indicator of how far back to stand. So instead of putting it right up against the mic like this, you can actually measure that about 6 inches and use that as a indicator of where they should be staying during performance. And this will keep a consistent take of consistent volume where they're not moving too much, and hopefully get you the best vocal recording you can get. So if you watched the first video in the series and decided to use a dynamic microphone, then what I would do here, that one requires a bit more proximity. So there, instead of the 6 inches, you'd probably be looking at about 2 inches, just because they're a lot less sensitive and need to be sang out a bit closer. 4, getting headphone bleed in your recordings. So for me, I find the thing that always seems to bleed out is a metronome if you've got a click track on your track that they're recording to. So what you need to do is test that in the first recording. Record a bit of them singing and make sure that the click isn't too loud, that you're getting that bleed in the microphone. If you are getting a bit of click bleed, there's a couple of things we can do to try and rectify that. And what we do is we go into the click settings in our DAW. So for example, in Logic here, we go into File, Project Settings, Metronome. So in here, what we can do is change the volume and tonality of the click or metronome. And what the tonality does is if you turn it up, it kind of adds more of a note to the metronome. If you turn it down, it deadens the sound a bit. And actually by deadening that sound, you can sometimes help it to stick through the headphones a bit less and help with the bleed. Number 5, having your headphone volume too loud. So this follows on from point number 4, because having your headphone volume louder means a louder click, which means more bleed. But I'm thinking of it now from the singer's perspective. So when you're recording or you're recording someone else, if you have the headphone volume too loud, that means that then they will have to sing louder to compete to be heard over the volume in the headphones. Often this is a tricky one because a lot of people when they're recording want to have it nice and loud to really get into the vibe, but it means that they're tiring their voice out quicker, singing louder than they should to make sure they can be heard. So my pro tip for this is if you are wearing headphones, I often take one ear off, so you've just got the one on, and this means that then actually you can hear your own voice acoustically in the room better, and that means that then you don't have to have the headphones loud enough to still be able to hear yourself over the track, so you will blow your voice out a lot slower. So make sure when you start recording, you check all of these things before you do that first take, just to make sure you're not gonna have anything that you think sounds great, but ends up unusable in the final product. So that's it for today. If you like this video, go and check out the previous 2 videos I've made in this series, all about vocal recording. If you're looking for better ways to share your music or get feedback from collaborators, head over to aux.app and download the desktop app. Remember, you can follow me at Joe Novelli Music or the studio here at Grosvenor Road Studios. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I will see you for the next video. See you later.